Southern California's 6-Pack of Peaks challenge has always been something that's piqued our interest. One of the closest peaks to us is Sitton Peak. The trailhead for this hike, which is also known as the Bear Canyon Trailhead, is located directly next to the Ortega Oaks candy store. Shortly after you begin the trail, you'll find yourself at the San Mateo Canyon Wilderness Information Sign. Here you'll find a map, information about trail closures, and the sign-in box. While probably about 80% of this hike is not very difficult at all, it definitely has some strenuous sections. Luckily, we were being joined this day by our great friend and fellow Tough Mudder teammate, Megan. Spirits were high as we worked our way up the trail and through the lush green forest. You're definitely going to get a leg workout on this trail. There are tons of rocky stairs that line the way. They'll have your legs burning on the way up and even more on the way down. There are several splits in the trail, and the first one is right around 0.9 of a mile. It's easy enough, just make a right and follow the trail towards Sitton Peak. The trail had a fair amount of erosion that I assume had been caused by recent rains, but on the upside you can definitely tell that all the plant life in the forest was enjoying the weather. Right around the 2-mile mark, you'll come up on the second split of the trail. This one isn't quite as easy to figure out because neither of the signs have any mention of Sitton Peak. I believe that both trails do meet back up later on, but we made the right towards Bear Canyon Trail. This should be your first chance to actually see Sitton Peak on the hike. It is the tall peak on the left. After a nice short downhill break, it's back to a light climb up through the forest again. At this point, you're going to reach a spot called Four Corners, which is actually kind of funny because there is 5 trails that leave from it. You're going to make a hard right. This fork is pretty self-explanatory, and you can once again just look for the sign that says Sitton Peak on it. You start to climb on a trail that is narrow and rocky, but it eventually opens up to a nice wide trail that a car could easily drive up. At the top of this climb, you will be reaching yet another marker. This time there is no need to make any turns. It is just letting you know that you are less than a mile from Sitton Peak. You are going to be getting a nice break here because it is going to be downhill all the way to the final very steep climb. Almost as soon as you reach the bottom of the hill, you're going to see this large metal rusted piece of equipment. After you pass it, keep your eyes peeled on the right side of the trail for the last marker. It was kind of buried in the bushes, and I'm sure it wouldn't be the hardest thing to miss. This part of the trail is what gives Sitton Peak its hard rating. Over the next 0.4 of a mile, you're going to climb right around 380 feet. I think it's needless to say that shoes with good traction are extremely important on this part of the trail. One of the best things about this part of the hike is that if you decide to take breaks, which trust me we did, you will be able to turn around and start to see some of the views that Sitton Peak is so famous for. Just when we were starting to get really tired, we spotted this little guy and he inspired us to keep on pushing towards the top. Finally, after one heck of a fight, we reached the top of the climb. Once you reach the top, believe it or not, you're still not at Sitton Peak, but don't worry because it is a short and almost flat walk over to it. The view from the top of Sitton Peak definitely did not disappoint. On a clear day, you'll have a 360-degree view of many of the local mountain ranges, and you might even be able to spot Catalina. After a quick rest and obligatory signed photo, it was time to head back. Thankfully, we thought ahead and brought our Yukon Charlie Slipknot spikes this day. I wouldn't necessarily put spikes as a mandatory piece of gear for this hike, but it definitely made our trip down the steep section a lot easier. We definitely recommend having a set of these in your bag when you're going out for a hike. They don't take up much space in your bag, and they can really help you if you're in a pinch sometimes. Once we reached the bottom of this steep section, we popped off our spikes because they weren't really going to help us anymore, and we continued on our way. That downhill that you enjoyed on the way to the peak has now become an uphill, but after that hill you just climbed, this is going to seem like a piece of cake. All you have to remember on the way back is to reverse all the directions. At all the forks on the way out, you were making rights, so now you're going to be making lefts. It's the same with this fork here. It's another left and up and over this small hill. One funny thing that we noticed on the way back is that you actually get a better view. On the way out, you're constantly looking uphill and the bushes are a little bit too high on the sides to see most of the time. But now that you're looking downhill, you can see over the tops of the bushes and take in some of the beautiful canyons in the area. It was around this fork here where our legs were really starting to feel the effects of all of the downhill and all the rocky steps. As much as we were enjoying the hike, we were definitely looking forward to getting back to the car and grabbing lunch. And just like that, victory was in sight as we rounded a corner and we could see the Jeep. We finished up our hike with a nice little visit from this pup, and then that was about it. If you're looking for a solid hike, this one definitely fits the bill. It runs right around 9.8 miles with 2,080 feet of elevation gain. If you enjoy our adventures, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you get notified when we make new videos. Follow us over on Instagram at thatadventurelife_official, and you can find all the information about this hike at thatadventurelife.com.